Hello, people. Are you here? This is a very special presentation. Normally, you're maybe used to seeing me for my Keto Chat Live podcast, but today I am here with a very special info session. And I can see we've got people watching. So I'm going to teach you as much as I possibly can in a short period of time. And for those of you that are interested in knowing more, at the very end of this, I'll tell you how we can take things further. So my goal here today is to teach you about a few things about emotional eating. What is it? And why do we do it? And how to start to overcome that. So I actually have a presentation, and I was running through the slides to make sure I didn't have anything. I made some updates to it anyway. So this is based on a course that I've created, and it's something I haven't run for 2 years, and it seems like it's time we need this again. Actually, it might have been 2 years ago is when I last run this program. So without further ado, let me just show you my slides here so that I can keep track of what I want to talk about. And we're going to share the screen here. And yeah, go ahead and add comments. Let me know where you're joining from, what you're hoping to get out of this. But here we go. Does this, all right, let me know. Okay, here we go. I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. All right. I won't be able to see your comments while I'm presenting this. And so, but go ahead and know that I will get back to them and I will check in periodically with the comments there. So welcome to the info session, End Emotional Eating. I'm going to talk about the pathway to end emotional eating. And again, this is a program and framework that I have specifically designed. After all the training, I'm going to tell you all about my education and training here in a moment and experience. So the Pathway to End Emotional Eating is a program that helps you learn how to quickly handle emotions in healthy ways so that you can stop cheating on your keto diet or any other healthy eating plan without spending years in therapy. So I primarily do work with keto people, but guess what? This is for anyone who struggles with emotional eating, that feel like you're just out of control with your eating habits. So this program is, I like to call it diet agnostic, meaning we don't even talk about food, even though it's about emotional eating. We talk about how to handle the emotional part of things. So how do I advance the slide here? Here we go. Okay. Here's what I'm going to talk about today in this info session. Who is this for? Who am I? Who the heck am I? Do you know who I am? What is emotional eating? And guess what? Most of it is not what you think. Emotional eating is a really big umbrella, and you might be surprised that even though you think you're not an emotional eater, you probably are. And I'm going to talk about why do we do it? Where do we learn how to do it? I'm going to go over my What's Eating You framework. And this is something, again, that I've specifically designed through all of my education and training. And I'll give you an overview of the program, again, to teach you as much as I can here in the short time that we have together. And then I'll give you some information if you'd like to take things further and how to get started, how to start to end that emotional eating. All right, so who is this info session for? This is for you if you have trouble sticking with your keto eating plan or any other healthy eating regimen. And so you might be somebody who you can do well for a while, but you just keep cheating, falling off the wagon. You maybe have some success, lose weight, but gain it all back. And you tend to beat yourself up about it. You tend to think, why can I not stick with this? I know what I need to do. Why is it so hard to stick with this? So if that's something that you're resonating with and you're like, oh, yes, that's me, give me a hands up or a thumbs up in the chat there. Sometimes you may be somebody who has plateaued or you've gained more due to overeating. So you've done well for a while, but then the emotional eating keeps rearing its head. You keep eating, going off your plan, and starting to gain weight, or you've stopped losing weight. And often you feel out of control with your eating. So if you engage in emotional eating, it may be something where you feel like you just can't help it. You might be doing really well all day long, and then in the evening, you've got a pattern where you just use food to cope with your stress of the day. You may also be feeling that if you could just stop doing this, it would be so easy to reach your health goals. Because again, you know what you need to do. You know the way that eating that makes you feel the best. And this is the final thing that feels like it's just holding you back. And you do well for a while. You probably are on track pretty well, and then something happens in life, some big stressor, some event, maybe some argument or struggle with family members, just something happens, right? And then next thing you know, your hands in a bag of chips or a pint of Ben and Jerry's or whatever else is your go-to carby foods that help you cope with life, and you just don't know how to break that cycle. Also, this info session is for you if life just feels overwhelming and food feels like the only way you know how to cope. I work with a lot of ladies that wear a lot of hats in their life. They're very successful in a lot of other ways, but they feel like, why is this the one area of my life that I can't seem to get a handle on? Again, you know what you need to do, but you can't be able to stick with it. So this is for you. All right, who am I? My name is Carol Freeman, and I have a bachelor's in nutrition. I have a master's in nutrition. I have a master's in clinical health psychology. I'm also a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I didn't update the slide, but I'm also a board certified ketogenic nutrition specialist. So I've got lots of training, lots of credentials, lots of student loan debt to prove it. And I, for a long, long time, have been trying to figure out the puzzle of how do I help women eat healthfully, eat in a way that helps them feel the best? How do I help them feel psychologically the best, emotionally, and physically the best? And I studied all of this at Bastyr University. I learned about mindfulness and intuitive eating and health at every size. I studied and I nerded out on the psychology, the neurobiology, the brain chemistry of the physiology of eating and cravings and appetite, addiction, and habit change and behavior change. I've studied so much about this. And really, I have all of those tools, and it was really finding the ketogenic diet that was the final piece of this. And I had been a yo-yo dieter my whole adult life, even going back my very first endeavor into dieting when I was about 19, and I tried, what was it called? Diet Center. And it was very expensive at the time, and I lost a lot of weight, but it basically was just about eating a very low calorie diet. And besides that attempt, I was not a very good dieter. I couldn't stick with something for very long. I learned to use food to cope with a lot of things. So there was a car accident in 2014 that really radically transformed things. I spent about a year and a half progressively becoming more and more disabled, discovered that I had a traumatic brain injury that had not been diagnosed. And once I figured out what was going on, I embarked on a ketogenic diet, and it was the final piece of the puzzle that helped me put everything together. And then I started working with women, specifically implementing a ketogenic diet in a way to help them lose weight. And I employed everything that I'd ever learned about the psychology and neurobiology of eating and cravings and appetite and addiction to my approach with keto. And it works really, really well. However, sometimes people really struggle with the emotional eating part of it so much more. And this is my initial transformation, going from about 220 pounds down to 160. So I lost 60 pounds, applying all of my education, again, about the stuff going on in your brain, as well as how to eat in a way that is conducive to that weight loss. And I found, though, over time, again, there's like some of my ladies do really, really well, and they're able to stick with it indefinitely. And then some of them struggle and go back and forth with being able to stick with it for the long term. And so I created this program, the Pathway to End Emotional Eating, in order to help those that really struggle with using food to cope with life. And the truth is, they just haven't learned any other coping skills to be able to not use food for coping with life. So let me see if we have any comments here. All right. I'm realizing I can see myself. I am on camera as well, so hopefully I didn't pick my nose too much for you on there. So, okay, so let's just talk about what is emotional eating, because again, this may be different than what you think of it. And there's a lot of people that I've talked with. They're like, "Well, I'm not an emotional eater," but guess what? Pretty much everybody is an emotional eater. It's just the level at which it impairs your progress to your health goals that is where it's concerned. So what exactly is emotional eating? And I'm just going to give you how I see it and what this program is designed to help people with. So what is emotional eating? Well, it's eating when you're not physically hungry. It's using food when you're not actually in need of fuel. So anytime that you eat other than when you're feeling hungry, that's actually what we're putting under this umbrella of emotional eating. So it can be in this response to stress, emotions. Those can be things like feeling angry, sad, lonely, also deprived. That's an emotional eating response. Gosh, it's so unfair that I can't have that. I want to go eat that. You can feeling unloved, social pressures. Gosh, I want to be like everybody else. I don't want to be different than my friends. That's an emotion or feeling. Also, what's really interesting and a lot of people don't realize is that emotional eating doesn't have to be all the sad, negative feelings. It can be happy. So, how many of you use food to celebrate a birthday or holidays or promotion or it's Friday or it's Wednesday or it's Sunday? How many times do you have really happy, elaborate things where you're using food in those celebrations as well? So, guess what? We're all emotional eaters. And again, it's about how much does it impact your life and impair your ability to reach your health goals and stick with your healthy eating habits. And again, so it can be in response to what we perceive to be positive or negative emotions. And it's also a learned behavior. And like I said, it's extremely common. All of us are emotional eaters. A lot of people want to know, like, is it bad? Is emotional eating bad? It's not good or bad. It just is. But if you're here, if you're listening to this now or the replay, and in the comments, give me a hashtag replay if you're here watching the replay. If you're here, it's likely because the consequences of emotional eating are causing you distress in your life. And you're ready to do something different. So again, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means it's behavior that you'd like to change. So why do we do it? If it makes us fall off of our keto eating plans, if it makes us gain weight, why? Why do we do it? So it's something that we've learned that's extremely effective. You can use food to numb out, avoid, or dissociate from feelings or emotions or stress, relationship challenges, again, feeling lonely, feeling happy. It's something we've learned from our parents, unfortunately. I mean, they meant well. Our parents meant well. But how many of you grew up with phrasing like, be quiet or I'll give you something to cry about? Or you're really, really excited about something and you were told, calm down, be quiet, sit down. Stop overacting. Stop being so hyper. These are just some examples of things that our parents said to us that made us try to numb out and avoid our feelings. Now, again, our parents weren't bad people. They were doing the best that they could. They didn't learn this either. But feelings and emotions are actually the language of our body, and they're teaching us. It's a language we never learned. Again, our parents didn't learn, their parents didn't teach us. So this program primarily is to teach you about the language of your body and what those feelings mean, how to listen to your body and give yourself what you truly need. So instead of learning, so it's like this whole other language we never learned to speak. And it's like somebody is constantly talking to us in a language we don't understand. And so we go, I don't know what you're trying to tell me. Would you like a cookie? Can you imagine if you had some friend that you lived with, a person that you lived with, that you were trying to communicate with, and they had the look of fret and despair on their face, and they were speaking a totally foreign language that you didn't even recognize, you've never heard before. Nobody ever taught you. Nobody else seems to know how to understand what they're saying, but they're just there and they keep telling you and pleading with you that they need something. But all you can do is go, hey, I don't know what you need. I don't understand. But if you have a cookie and you feed them some sugar, you feed them some carbs, you feed them some, desserts or treats or other things, and they have a smile on their face for a little bit and they stop trying to talk to you. But after the bliss of the sugar wears off, they start trying to talk to you again. And you're like, I'm sorry, I don't even know what you're saying to me. This is the game that we've been playing with our body and our feelings for most of our lives, for most of us. So again, feelings and emotions are the language of our body. And this program specifically teaches you how to understand that language, how to begin to unravel it. And it's not even close to as hard as learning an actual foreign language. So when we eat refined sugar, refined carbs, the foods that we turn to when we're emotionally eating, they act on our brain the same as drugs. So some people learn that when you're having overwhelming stuff going on in your life, that drugs or alcohol or compulsive shopping, gambling, those are all effective ways at numbing out, avoiding, or dissociating from your feelings or emotions. But food can do that as well. And so, again, you're probably here if you're one of those that tend to use food as something to cope with life. So, how do we end emotional eating? So, here's my what's eating you framework. Oh, and I got a typo in here. Yay. What's eating your framework? Well, nothing's eating your framework. What's eating you? And so the eating part stands for engage, analyze, true, I, new, and growth. Okay, so see that cute little, what's it called, acronym that I created there? So the first stage of this framework is beginning to engage with your emotions. This is going to be learning to name and identify your feelings. Really simple, easy step in the beginning. The second part of this eating you framework is going to be analyzing those triggers, understanding what is the thing that triggered that feeling or emotion. Now, the truth is that when we start out this process, most of us are in a place where we're just eating and we don't know why. How did I end up here again? I did so well all day long, or I've been doing well for all week, or I've been Monday through Wednesday. I did so great. Why is it Thursday and I'm falling off the wagon again? What is going on? I don't know. I don't have any idea. That's typically where people are when they start this process. So don't feel like I have no idea. I can never figure out my triggers. Again, this framework is designed to walk you through that and help you get there. So analyzing the trigger. What is it that triggered this feeling in the first place? Then once you identify those emotions or feelings, that is a roadmap. Again, we're learning our body's language. That's the roadmap. That's what we need to know to understand what our body's trying to tell us. And whether it's what feels like a positive emotion or a negative emotion, that tells us things about our needs. So when you experience feelings that are positive, they feel good, that's your body's language to tell you that your needs are being met. Do more of that. That helps me survive and be a happy, healthy human. When you have feelings that feel negative, they don't feel so pleasant. That is our body's language trying to tell us that we have a need that's not being met as a human. Don't do any more of that, whatever that thing was. That doesn't feel good, and that's not going to help me be a happy, healthy human. Part 4 of the What's Eating You framework is I matter, taking time, standing up for yourself, setting some boundaries. Step 5 is creating new habits, beginning to get your needs met, beginning to honor what your body's telling you with its feelings and its new language that you're learning, and creating those new habits, making the changes necessary to move towards less food to cope with life and more getting your needs met. And then 6 is for growth. This is an ongoing process. I'm not going to promise you that this is easy, that once you understand it, that you can just employ it and it's simple and easy. This is something to work at. And this is, yes, I'm making sure I'm sharing the right. So if this is resonating with you, give me a yes, an amen, a high five. Get what are the emoji that's the hands up there? Give me that if this is resonating with you. All right. So then growth again. So this is not a easy process, but I'm going to be there with you, walking you through, and other people as well. We'll be working on this together, and you'll be able to grow. So this is a little sneak peek of some of the materials that are included in this program. This is how I visualize the What's Eating You framework. This is based on what I learned in my internship. So again, I have a master's degree in clinical health psychology. I'm trained to be a mental health therapist, even though I didn't want to pursue that as my primary career. I learned from somebody who trained in dialectical behavioral therapy. So some of this may be familiar if any of you have been through therapy or studied dialectical behavioral therapy. It's very complex and gives you lots of tools, but this is the basis of where I've come up with this What's Eating You framework and the progression of it. So let's just walk through this. It looks like maybe a very complicated flow chart, and I'm going to make it seem a little simpler for you here. And so let's focus on the blue arrow, the trigger, emotions, and urges. Okay, let's focus on that first. And so the blue arrow represents things that just happen in our brain and our body that we don't have any control over. This is blue arrow is where you do not have any control. So something happens. So think of the trigger as just something happens. It could be anything. It could be that you wake up and there's the forecast is a temperature that you don't like. It could be an interaction with your boss, your mate, your child, a stranger at the grocery store. Okay, so trigger, just think of trigger as something happens. And that leads, so if we go to through the arrow there, that just leads to a feeling or emotion. So whatever happens, we make meaning of it, and then we have a feeling or emotion. And like I talked about in the last slide there, the feeling or emotion is our body's language. And so whether it's something that feels like it's positive, that means, oh, whatever just happened to us, that's good for us. We should do more of that. And if it's something that feels negative, then that's something that's telling us that whatever just happened to us, there's something there that's not meeting our human needs. And then again, for the final thing that happens in this blue arrow then is the urges. We have an urge to do something. So we have a feeling or emotion, and we have an urge to do something about it. Now, if you're here and struggling with emotional eating, the urge that you typically have is to go down to that yellow block on the bottom, emotional blocking behavior. So I'm calling this emotional blocking behavior because our urge is to do something that numbs, avoids, or dissociates us from the feelings and emotions that we're having in this blue arrow moment. This is an autopilot thing. So again, the blue arrow, you have no control over it. You're just going to go, and often most people are just at the urge point. You're having a craving, you're having an urge to eat some food. But again, these also can be other behaviors that numb, avoid, or dissociate you from your feelings. Again, they can be drugs or alcohol. They can be gossiping, triangulation. It can be compulsive shopping or gambling or sex or other things. And so, again, you're here, and this program is going to focus on the urge to use food to cope with those feelings and emotions. And so, again, that's that yellow block. This is an autopilot routine that we go into. We've done it so many different times. It's autopilot. We don't even notice we're doing it. Now, the goal of the program and this framework is to help you begin to be able to, when you have an urge, go for that blue block at the top there, the top right, emotional allowing behavior. So these are behaviors that allow you to have your feelings, feel your feelings. And they're things then that address the true needs. So again, it's a process of learning your body's language, understanding, was this feeling positive or negative? What does that mean? And if it was something that felt negative, then let's go back and analyze, what was it that happened? What's the need that I have as a human in this situation? And how do I get my needs met? Because guess what? The more that you engage in the allowing behaviors, addressing your true needs as a human, you're not going to go down to that yellow block on the bottom. You're not going to keep using food, right? So you get to do one or the other. You either use food to cope, or you get to do the blue behavior, which again is the goal. That's moving away from the emotional eating or doing other things that avoid your feelings. And don't worry if it feels like, I'm not sure I'm quite getting it, because guess what? That's what the program is about. We go through this step by step, and I give you very simple, easy steps to take each week of the program so that you can get this and really understand it. All right. So if you're still here with me, okay, we're getting, oh, yay. I'm getting the how many hands up there. Thank you so much for that. The hallelujah praise hands, the high fives, whatever you want to call those. I don't know what they're called. Okay. So let me tell you a little bit more about the Pathway to End Emotional Eating program. And because again, those of you that are still here may want some more information about this. So what it does, so the whole program is powered by that What's Eating You framework. Again, that's something I've specifically developed with all the education and training that I have, and also working with real people. So again, I've run this program in the past. It's very effective, and it helps you stop using food to cope with life, emotions, stress, so on and so forth. And it teaches you how to have healthy expressions. There's another typo. Have health expressions. Have healthy expressions and experiences of feelings without being compelled to use food to cope with them. So again, it's honoring and learning that language of your body and being able to get your human needs met. It's pretty powerful stuff. And it allows you to be able to stick with your keto plan or other eating plan. Again, this is diet agnostic. There's nothing about it. We don't have any meal plans in this program. We don't even talk about what to eat. That is up to you. So again, this is for people that already know, I know what I should be doing. Why can't I stick with it? So that just helps you be able to stick with your eating plan of your choice. And so you can lose the weight and be able to keep it off and feel empowered instead of out of control with food. So the learning outcomes of the program: understand why we eat. And there's another typo. Wow, I have so many typos in here. This is great. Understand why we eat to cope with emotions. Learn our body's primary language, what it's trying to tell us. Identify emotions and feelings. Identify triggers so that you can stop the habit cascade before it even starts. Assess your true human needs and meet those needs in healthy ways so that you no longer need to use food to cope with life. And develop and implement. Oh, look at that. I didn't, there's a learning outcome. I didn't even finish there for you. So I will be updating that and doing another one of these sessions. So develop and implement your own personal pathway forward. So here's, more nuts and bolts, the structure of the program. It's actually an 8-week program. So there are 6 video modules where I teach you more in depth the things that we've talked about here, much more in depth. How do you go through that eating pathway, the framework there. We do have weekly calls as a group with me so that we can process. There's triad work too. So this is a group support program. So we'll come together as a group and we'll all be working on this together. And while everybody is going to have the similar things they're working on, there's going to be a lot of differences in everyone as well. So we allow everyone to be where they are in their process. And so 8 weeks of group calls with me. There are again 6 weekly 6 video modules to go through. And so I include some implementation weeks. And so I've learned going through this, it can be some pretty in-depth work and result in some really deep learning about yourself. And so I've learned that we need weeks in between some of the modules to be able to just have more time to implement what we're learning. So it's not a rapid fire. It's not a go, go, go type of program. It's a take your time, spend as long as you need on each of the steps. You may spend the whole 8 weeks just learning to identify your feelings. It's a very self-paced, and wherever you are, you're right up where you need to be. And so also a comprehensive workbook. We've got a private Telegram group for all members for ongoing discussion and support, as well as peer support triads. So I'm going to break people out into triads so that they've got a smaller group in between the group calls that they can connect with and get that support. So it's designed to have lots and lots of support as you go through this. Again, it can be some intensive work, but it's all meant to be very, very supported and give you what you need as you go through that program. So join me. I'm making an invitation to you to join me in the Pathway to End Emotional Eating and those others that are in the same place. So who this is for if you're sick and tired of food ruling your life, if you're 100% ready to get rid of emotional eating or begin to peel back the layers to move it out of your life, you're willing to invest time, effort, and money in solving this problem in your life, and you really believe that this is the number one issue keeping you from succeeding on keto or your other eating plan of choice. And you find power in education and a supportive community of like-minded, strong women. There may be a few men that come and join us as well too. Who this is not for. Okay, so this is not for you if you want an easy fix or a magic bullet. You don't have 2 hours per week to invest in yourself. You're unwilling to give that to yourself. because it does take a little bit of time to go through the training module and then spend an hour with us in that Q&A group support session each week. It's not much, really. That's about, let me just do the math though. I mean, you're like, oh, I can't find 2 hours, but let's look at, there's 24 hours in a day times 7 days in a week. So we've got 168 hours in a week, and I'm asking for 2 of them. So 2 hours divided by 168 hours, that's 1% of your week. So if you're not willing or able to devote 1% of the hours that you have in every week in solving this problem, it requires a 1% investment of your time. And if you're somebody who's just not coachable, you're not willing to change or investigate things in yourself, and you're not a joiner, if you're like somebody who's like, I don't like group stuff, I don't want to be around these other people, then unfortunately the format of this is not going to be the right fit for you. And if you're not willing to break up with the foods that are ruining your life, if you're at a point of like, yeah, but I don't ever want to stop eating that stuff. Well, this will be around next year for you. So what next? The first 3 people that enroll in this program. So this is the first info session I'm having. And the first 3 people that join us, because I know that first step can be scary for people. So I wanted to make a huge, huge bonus for those brave people that raise their hand to me and say, hey, you know what? This is perfect for me and I'm ready to join you. The first 3 people that join are going to get the VIP level access to the program. So the regular version of the program is what I explained there with the nuts and bolts slide of what's included. There is a VIP level of the program as well that in addition to the group support, you also get one-on-one time with me. And this one-on-one time can be really valuable. I mentioned that I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and if I didn't, I'm mentioning it now. And so some of the stuff that has us stuck, that really is a pattern that can be really challenging for us, some hypnosis in those private sessions can be really, really transformative. And also the private sessions don't have to be for hypnosis. If that's something that doesn't appeal to you, it can be just a time where we can talk through things a little bit more personally. And so again, the first 3 people that message me and join the program are going to get that bonus. You get upgraded automatically to the VIP level of the program. So don't hesitate to be one of those first 3, because it's a really, really big deal. And so I'm going to go over here now and see if we have questions. I have a couple of minutes for questions before how do I stop? Here we go. Stop sharing. And so I have a couple minutes for questions. If anybody has any questions about emotional eating or the program. And if you're watching this on, I think on YouTube, or if you don't have a way to get a hold of me, make a comment. So some of you watching this do have my email. I'm not going to put this out on the internet for all the world to message me, but make some kind of a comment there that you would like some more information. You would like to be able to contact me, and so I can reach out to you then and follow up, and we can talk about how you can be one of those first 3 that get that big bonus. And otherwise, if you do have my contact info, please send me an email or a direct message, and you'll be able to be one of those first 3 spots and get that VIP time with me for no extra charge. So any comments? I see we still have some people on live. Thank you so much for watching this whole time. It looks like we've got people on YouTube, my personal page, and also in the keto support group for women. So let me know. Phyllis is saying, I'd like to consider. Okay, so you're on YouTube, and so great. I will. I think YouTube has a way that I can contact you, but I will follow up with you, Phyllis, and give you some information and my personal email address so that we can continue with this. So, yay, Phyllis, for raising your hand. Congratulations. Facebook user. So I think this is a person that's in the Facebook group, because it keeps your name private. Does the program include helping develop some ideas to go toward that blue square you mentioned? I often have a tough time figuring out what to do to divert the urge. Yes. And so let me just real quick, let me give you clarity on that. So the power of this is that it doesn't make you go, I'm having an urge, I need to do something different and divert myself. It's really cool because we're actually backing up and being able to understand identifying your feeling gives you that moment of pause to be able to, I'm trying to think of, like, because without all the lessons that go with it, I'm trying to think of that the shortest way to kind of explain of how we unravel this basically. And so the truth is that you're exactly, I don't know what your name is, but exactly what you're saying is how we try to do it. I have the urge, I want to eat this thing. I know I shouldn't. And so you're battling yourself in that moment. And guess what? This is why that never works, is because you're powerless in that moment. You're always going to go for the pattern that you've done over and over and over and over again, which is the yellow square, right? And so the power of this program is that we unravel all of this so that you begin to start to understand how to meet your needs instead of trying to divert yourself when you're having an overwhelming urge or craving. Okay. So the cool thing is that we don't start there. We start very simply. The first step of the program is just practice and learning naming your feelings and emotions. So we don't try to change your eating habits at all. The first step is just we have lists of feelings and emotions and some feeling wheels that we use as tools as we're learning this process. And the first step is just starting to learn to name the feelings. You don't even have to try to divert yourself or choose the blue square. We get to the point where we can choose the blue square. You don't have to try to force yourself in the beginning. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense about how it's very different than what most people try to do or what they think they need to do. And so it's actually not about diverting or trying to get yourself to make the right choice when you're having an urge. It's about learning your body's language and learning what you really need. And as you start to address your needs, then you're able to make that choice, and you don't ever get to the point where the urge is sending towards food. So, another part of that is that as we learn to name our feelings, a lot of times just giving that name to that feeling is enough to make the urge go away. So that's pretty cool as well. So, Facebook user, I don't know if it's the same one or a different one, is asking, and I should have put this on the screen here. So this was like, how much the program. So I took out the slide where I kind of talked about that, but I'm not trying to hide anything or anything like that. So I'd actually contemplated, because this program I've run before and it's been 2 years, and I think the program is actually too low priced. So I considered actually dramatically increasing the price, but I realized, you know what? We're all kind of in a place where we're struggling right now. The economy's crap, right? And it's Stephanie. So I decided to have it the same price that I had it before. First time people going through the program, $497. And again, it's an 8-week program. There's payment option as well, payment plan option too, that I'm going to have available for people as well, so that you can choose that, so you can have low payments if the full pay of the $497 isn't an option. And so, and then the VIP version of the program is going to be $997, and so that gets people one-on-one time with me, in addition to everything else that comes with the standard version of the program too. So so again, the first 3 people that enroll in the program are going to get the full VIP version for the price, the $497. So thanks for asking that. And so unfortunately, I've got to run here to my next thing. I've got an appointment I've got to get to here. Just gives me a few minutes to wrap up here. So thank you so much for being here, and continue. If you've got questions, if you're on Facebook, you can direct message me if you'd like more information, or if you want to grab one of those first 3 spots. Awesome. If you're Phyllis, I will follow up with you on YouTube and find out how we can connect on there. And $497. Yes, that's what, yes. So message me on Facebook. If you have my email, direct email me there. And again, Phyllis on YouTube, or anyone else watching on YouTube, I will follow up with you. So if you're watching the replay of this, give me a #replay. And if you have any questions or want to be one of those first 3 people, let me know. And I'm so glad you've been here, and I look forward to helping you unravel this. And like Facebook user, or maybe Stephanie, I don't know, if maybe somebody else then that's saying, how do we choose the blue square instead of the yellow square? That's the whole goal of the program. So thank you all for being here, and keep leaving your comments. I'll come back and interact with you too. So we'll see you soon. Bye now.